And then you got a close up of his face grinning, and you can see that he can barely needs to shave, and he looks so young.
Hmm.
With this interesting and individual voice to him as well.
Yeah,
Um,
there were a couple times where I laughed out loud at it. It's this dry delivery of his that adds to it as well.
it's a Canadian version of Marky Smith, is what it is.
Oh, okay. It
You
sounded
sure does.
incredibly English, the whole lot of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of the day it is, in whatever part of the world you reside. We thank you for joining us for another episode of the Audiophiles. I'm Andy, that's John, and it's time to dig into some music. Today, a song and an artist offered up by our old pal John. John, what do you got in the chamber?
So we looked at this band the arse end of last year. And I said I'd come back with this track, and I have. So the band is Aut,
Oh, nice.
and the track is Beautiful Blue Sky. And this is a live performance on KEXP, or some variation of those letters.
No, you nailed it. Excellent job. I was actually pretty impressed. You either stumble through it accidentally or you intentionally screw it up for the sake of the joke, but no, you went serious and got right to it. Awesome. What else is awesome is that we're revisiting Aut, who was one of the bands that I really loved that you offered up from last year, even if it was toward the tail end of it. And I was trying not to fall victim to recency bias when we were doing our favorites from the year. So maybe if I like this one, I won't have that to use as a crutch for not selecting them amongst my top. But that's also assuming that I like it as much as I did the last track. So there's only one way to find out if I will or won't, and that's by giving this a go. But if it's done through KEXP, that's already got a couple added bonuses to it. So yeah, let me go off and give this thing a listen, and I'll come back and you can tell me more about it, and I can tell you about my thoughts. Kind of cyclical.
The light coming down over your shoulders. So what is that sensation? What is that sensation? With the light coming down over your shoulders. So what is that sensation? What does that sign say?
This is interesting. These it just, well, first it's sort of this observation about like, you know, what is that sensation, or I'm not exactly sure what he's talking about there, but then it kind of devolves into, or evolves into, depending on how you look at it, I guess, and what exactly he's conveying. But he observes these things like, just short and observationally, just like warplane, condo, new development, time again, and then something like people coming up. I don't know. It's odd because then he goes back to warplane, condo, oil freighter, new development, and it just seems like, to stick with I think I mentioned the cyclical nature of the base. There's some cyclical behavioral patterns here. When maybe you're, you know, from an American perspective, you got this idea of like war, you know, development and expansion, and then maybe sort of like a reining in of that, and then the cyclicality of starting it all over again. This rinse repeat of, you know, the same behavioral patterns of a capitalistic, you know, military industrial complex based society, which is, you know, we see oftentimes here all the time. So that's interesting, this sort of just like going through the motions as a society, that we do. And yeah, I find that really intriguing, especially how the music kind of conveys that nature right out of the gate. And then now he's sort of like, if I'm correct, these observations about behavioral patterns, I guess in this case from a societal standpoint, not like an individual standpoint, where we go through these ebbs and flows of, you know, geopolitical behavioral patterns. Interesting. This is now it is from we in the last bit, if I'm right, that's more from a macro societal level. Now we're drilling down into the micro individual level, where he's just kind of going through the inanities of just, you know, discourse and you know, banter between individuals when they run into one another, like, how's the church, how's the job, how's your health, beautiful weather. Just that small talk bullshit that we all go through, that probably after a while at some point in time just makes you go, what are we doing here? Like, why do we do the same thing over and over again? And before you know it, you look back and your whole life was spent mostly doing this kind of shit. That's my interpretation of it. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely off, but it's funny. And I think he also just repeats that line before this where he's like, I feel all right. I feel like he's almost trying to convince himself that he feels okay, when perhaps all of these observations that he's making and underscoring here kind of illustrate that maybe he's not, you know, and, you know, maybe it's just getting a little bit old for him.
In the big, beautiful blue sky. Oh, I'm no longer afraid to die. That is all that I have left. Yes. Yes. And I'm no longer afraid to dance tonight. That is all that I have left. Yes.
That's interesting too. It goes from nihilistic to optimistic, maybe, or he's like, I'm no longer afraid to die because that's all that I have left, which sounds pretty dark. And then he says, I'm no longer afraid to dance tonight because it's all that I've left. And maybe like dance is this metaphor for living and embracing the moment. And maybe you have to realize the inane things in life and how you've wasted your time going through those motions to then have the revelation that fuck that. I'm no longer am I doing the, this mundane, I'm breaking this chain of mundane patterns and I'm going to do the thing that I said I wasn't going to do, or that I had too much shame to do, or that I was too shy to do, and I'm going to pursue it. And it maybe the metaphor for that is this dance, because we only have so much time here, and you can spend it going, oh, how's the job, how's church, how's the family, how's your health, and you can go through all those emotions, or you can just live. I don't know. That's what it sounds like to me anyway. It's just really interesting to hear those two lines back, like, I'm no longer afraid to die, I'm no longer afraid to dance. One is wrought with finality and this end, this feeling of it being over, and the other is this living in the moment sort of approach. And to hear them back to back is very interesting and evocative.
Warplane, condo, new development.
Also, I love this guitar pattern between this laundry list of items that he goes through. It kind of like illustrates the chaos in between, or how quickly these thoughts can come and go. I don't know, whatever it's acting as, I'm appreciating it, and how it adds this like chaotic dissonance in between each observation.
Time again. Coming up. Get together now. Time again. I feel alright. Warplane, condo, oil freighter. Time again. I feel alright. 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 Beautiful weather today. Beautiful weather today. Beautiful weather today. Beautiful weather today. How's the church? How's the job? How's the church? How's the job? And how's the fountain? How's the fountain? How's the fountain? How's the fountain? How's your health again? How's your health again? How's your health again? How's your health again? Bounce in your hair. Bounce in your hair. Bounce in your hair. Bounce in your hair. Turn it off again. Turn it off again. Turn it off again. Turn it off again. Absolution. 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 Beautiful weather today. Beautiful weather today. Beautiful weather today. Beautiful weather today. That's all that we have. That's all that we have. Just that in the big, beautiful blue sky. I'm no longer afraid to die, cause that is all that I have left.
Obviously.
Yes. Yes. And I'm no longer afraid to dance tonight, cause that is all that I have left. Yes. Yes.
Sounds like it's about to kick off, and I just want to say that like I love this interesting dynamic between the natural beauty of the music and this dissonant, fuzzy bit of feedback that is just cutting through all of it, almost like they're competing with one another. A lot like the idea of the competing thoughts of this niggling nihilistic approach to life, or this joie de vie approach where I'm just going to dance, you know what I mean? And how they are the internal struggle between those two schools of thought within the individual. And if that is the musical metaphor that's happening here, or whatever you want to call it, if that's the mechanism that they've designed and deployed in this track, I think that that's really genius. To make the music, to construct the music in such a way that conveys the same sort of mood and sentiment that I've interpreted from the lyrics, I think, and the way they go hand in glove is just, that's really, really intelligent, clever stuff from a music writing standpoint. Now, let's see if this devolves into utter chaos or if the sunlight from the big, beautiful blue sky comes piercing through.
One, two, three, kill it.
Man, that was a wildly thought-provoking song. I don't know if there was a like it, to harken back to that comparison I made, where it's sort of like the dark thoughts versus the light thoughts, or whatever you want to call it, kind of competing. I don't know if there was a winner. I just think in the end we died along with the song. Like that was the kill it was like just sort of curtains, lights out. And maybe that is kind of what we do. There isn't one prevailing thought. It's just a struggle until it isn't. Ugh, I don't know, but I fucking loved this. I love that it made me think like that. And I love the way that it was constructed in such a way that made me think. This was, yeah, huge hit. I mean, this is two songs now from these guys that have both resonated with me quite a bit. Maybe this one even more so than the last. Is it Today more than any other day? Both really, really interesting songs, though, that really made me scratch my head and think, which I needed, especially after the last one. But yeah, all jokes aside, this was a hell of a lot of fun to listen to. Really artistic and thought-provoking, and exactly what really good music and art should do. So yeah, hats off to Aut and John for offering them up to me yet again. I can't wait to get back to him and discuss this one a bit further and let him know what I thought of it and get a better understanding of his thoughts and perhaps the band's true intent when it came to writing the song. So let's get back and discuss it with the man himself.
Snakes on a plane, he's back. So you've had a listen to Beautiful Blue Sky live on KEXP by Aut. Tell me, was it a no or was it a yes?
It was both. It was an oh yes. Yeah, this is, oh man, this is fucking great. The performance begins, and it's got this lovely, tranquil bit of like simple but lovely 1 2 3 1 2 3 bass notation that right out of the gate creates this feeling of cyclicality. Like it's just going around and around and around. And the drums soon join the mix, laying down the beat and creating sort of the framework for the song's movement and pace, along with that aforementioned bass work. The keys then come in with these resonant kind of chiming chords before your man on the Telecaster accents that with these little pitchy touches on his guitar. And the singer then joins in with his sort of spoken word-esque delivery as he notes the light coming down over your shoulders and questions what is that sensation a couple of times before then asking, what does that sign say? Interesting stuff. Then over top of his scratchy sounding guitar work, he begins making what sounds like general observations one makes when living in a place with a strong military industrial complex and an insatiable hunger for expansion. Oh, the irony on the day we are recording this. He observes warplane, condo, new development, time again, people coming up. They've been together now, and time again, I feel all right. Warplane, condo, oil freighter, new development. These are again just random, just like observational snippets that he's
Or
just
or
laying out.
today's headlines. Yeah.
Yes, or today's headlines. Exactly. Exactly. Fuck me, get me out of this place. Which to me sounds like this rinse and repeat cycle of attack, build, expand. Then maybe the people coming together to object to the greed of all of this behavior, to then only and eventually fall back into the same old habits as he returns to the warplane, condo, oil freighter this time, and more new development. And those lines bring everything back full circle. And I'm not sure if this interpretation is correct, but I do love this, what could be mere coincidence, though I'd like to think it isn't, and that's this feeling of cyclicality that the lyrics offer, matching well with that same feeling from the opening bass line, this sort of round the wheel we go, round the wheel we go. And you can only hope that one of the spokes breaks or that it falls off its hinges. He then reiterates several times that he feels all right, which could easily be interpreted as a mantra or him trying to convince himself that he feels all right, even though he does not. From here, he then kind of devolves into what I call the small talk quatrains, each of which he repeats, whether it's, how's the family, how's your health, fancy seeing you here, how's church, some weather we have in here, and so on and so forth. Though interestingly enough, these also underscore the cyclicality of the inane and cliche things we discuss in our day-to-day encounters with our peers. Another part of life that at times feel exhaustingly rinse and repeat. So it's really interesting. The first bit sort of looks at it from a macro societal level, like how countries operate or governments operate. This portion is more how the individuals of said countries and societies interact with one another. So I guess it drills down to the human level in this bit, which I think is really interesting, juxtaposed to what kind of preceded it. And during this part, the music swells and becomes like much denser as we are peppered with observations about the weather and seemingly obligatory or disingenuous questions about work. And then he caps all of this off with this exclamation that this is all we have, this and that big, beautiful blue sky. And then the music becomes calmer, like this subtle moment of clarity or epiphany washes over the narrator as he quite placidly recognizes he is no longer afraid to die, as that is all that he has left. He then notes that he's no longer afraid to dance tonight and provides that same explanation as to why. And I wonder if those lines are essentially supposed to convey that he is, yes, no longer afraid of his own mortality, but that he is also no longer afraid to live, unencumbered by shame or trepidation, some resistance to act on these more base urges to just live and be happy doing so. Interesting few lines nonetheless, very evocative in how they follow one another, because they seem like polar opposites. I'm no longer afraid to die. I sort of welcome it. But then he's also saying, like, I'm no longer afraid to just act and relish whatever time I have left here and make the best of it. So I really loved the way that I love how it didn't hit you over the head with what he was trying to convey, and that you have to sort of read into, interpret it, and interpret that. And I'd like to think that that is the correct interpretation, because that really resonates with me. So back into this laundry list of observations about warplanes and condos and new developments and that he regaled us with earlier. And each item he lists is accented by this almost dissonant sounding flourish on the guitar, like these brief shots of chaos injected into the narrative between each one of these lines. I loved that too. That he was doing on the high portion of the guitar in between each of these items on that aforementioned laundry list. Just, I know that that had a bigger meaning than just being simple notation, and I really, really loved that as well. So more sounds of self-affirming proclamations that he feels all right rain down on us before we return to the small talk quatrains that I mentioned earlier, as the music swells more, leading to another proclamation that he's no longer afraid to die. But then the music cuts out, save for just the beat, and our long-necked orator repeats that he is no longer afraid to die because it is all that we have left. And he gestures along with the key notations with each yes as he repeats before, he gives this cheeky little smile. After he again mentions his fleeting fear of dancing, the music begins to be invaded by this feedback that cuts through its beauty, like it's competing for and winning all the oxygen in the room. Nonetheless, the music persists in the face of this dissonant onslaught as it's fighting to win back the higher ground of the soundscape. Eventually, it kind of does take the upper hand, and just as the shimmering light is cresting over the horizon, our lead vocalist leans into the mic, counts to 3, and then calmly says, "Kill it." So yeah, this was a ponderous little number. I mean, the way it kind of towed the line between nihilistic and hopeful, or perhaps illustrated that acceptance and recognition of the inanities of life and how they can, give way to this revelation of how best to live it moving forward with that understood. It was all really, really thought provoking. I also really enjoyed how the music seemed to work hand in glove with these sentiments and the mood of the piece. How that last battle, between the dissonance and clarity went on right up until the very end when the song died, so to speak, made the music equally evocative as the lyrics. So I think it is safe to say that this band has again impressed me quite a bit. So where is their fault, really? I don't know what to say other than, like, I know it's early goings, and I know you had a similar experience recently where, like, God damn, the year seems a little front loaded for when we have to make decisions at the end of the year. But this will be one that I have to seriously mull over. I love the contradiction in here. It's a natural one too. I think it's one that we have all probably grappled with, where you just want to throw in the towel or you want to hold on to it for all your, with all your might and squeeze every last bit out of it. There is this dance between nihilism and kind of joie de vivre that oddly coexists in this song. And this idea of this big, beautiful blue sky being the thing that we look to oftentimes, whether it's to the heavens or the celestials or whatever your God is called, when you want to make sense of these really nuanced, oftentimes contradictory feelings about this shared experience we all have on this, floating soccer or football, bounding through space. It's just really, really interesting stuff. And I found this to be wonderfully ponderous. I loved the song.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I'll say this. I'll get into it in a sec. I thought this song was good. It wasn't my favorite song off the album. I would say that this live performance on KEXP has elevated it
I was
several notches.
I was
Several.
just gonna say that I can only I knew where you were going with it when you said it wasn't when you just listened to it on the album, because I can only imagine that my experience probably would have been the same, where even though he wasn't over the top, these added bits of performance helped illustrate all the conclusions that I came to. I'm sure I would have gotten there with just the lyrics anyway, but my God, it was so much fun to watch him kind of act out and the kill it and just the abrupt stop, like the flat line on a cardiogram or something like that. It was
That
I don't
little
want to be too over
section.
the top with this, but it almost gave you chills to like kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
feel that, what he was trying
big
to
time.
convey there. So
And I tell you what, it's so good this performance that it makes me like the studio album more version as well more.
yeah, how could it not give you a new learned
Yeah,
appreciation for it?
that little section where the music cuts out and he does this sort of the stuff, and then you got a close up of his face grinning, and you can see that he can barely needs to shave, and he looks so young.
Mhm.
With this interesting and individual voice to him as well.
Yeah,
Um,
there were a couple times where I laughed out loud at it. It's this dry delivery of his that adds to it as
it's
well.
it's a Canadian version of Marky Smith, is what it is.
Oh, okay. It
You
sounded
sure it does.
incredibly English. The whole lot of it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So yeah, yeah, yeah.
But just I wanted to say this. So the start of this song on the studio version, it's even clearer. They're doing something very interesting with the time signature. So you start off as you say. So the bass is in three time.
Yeah.
The drum mimics it, and then you get the guitar in two time.
Mhm.
And the keys are just one chord,
Yeah,
and it's
just
one in four. So he's playing one in four time, and then at some point within the verse it goes to four time. So it's three time. So I don't know if it's like 7/8 or whatever it is, but the things, the three and the two and the one all interlock, and it becomes this other thing. Really interesting. As a non-musician, I just found it fascinating.
yeah.
But yeah, and there's other bits to it as well. But yeah, really interesting. So this is the a track from their second album, Sun Coming Down, 2015. So just to reiterate, we did a previous episode today, more than any other day, last year. Put a link below. You can go back and a bit more about the band. But the players are Tim Darcy, vocals, guitar, Matt May, keyboard, Ben Stidworthy, bass, and Tim Keane, drums and violin. They're not in this song. So the album was released in 2015 with very positive reviews and a Metacritic score of 80. The Guardian said, "You can hear the staples of alternative music, Wire, Mission of Burma, The Fall, all running through every note of their second album, but it's performed with a kind of relaxed intensity that is utterly engrossing." And the 405 said, "Sun Coming Down already feels like a cult classic and an institution that embraces 1,000 sides of the punk rock coin while retaining a steadfast originality." Rolling Stone said these Montreal post-punks write harsh songs for harsh times on their excellent second album, building on last year's debut more than any other day. Tim Darcy squawks about trying to keep what's left of his human feelings alive over abrasive guitar that clangs like Mission of Burma. When he sneers, "Put on your evening attire, we've got a lot of forgetting to do" on on the line. He sounds like a cross between the Fall's Marky Smith and the grifter on the corner selling you the watch he stole off your wrist an hour ago. Uh, the song "Beautiful Blue Sky" received specific praise. Rolling Stone named the song as the second best song of the decade, commending its life-affirming nature and describing it as an uplifting song that can catch you in a bleak moment and remind you it's not over yet. Far Out also named the song as one of the best of the decade, stating it defined the band's career and was the centerpiece of one of the decade's finest albums. Pace magazine retrospectively named the song as the best released by the band, highlighting it as the apex of their sound for its utterly mesmerizing post-punk construction, the capacity to rescue meaning from life's exhausting churn. Music OMH described the song as a defining moment and an epiphany about the futility of modernity and modernity, and evidence of the transcendent and moving potential of indie rock. Stereo Gum described the song as a perfect, happy, sad song. and multi-layered critique of development and unending consumerism. And DIY stated that Beautiful Blue Sky featured raw and inspiring verses and an almighty uplifting refrain that's full of expectation, wonder, and hospitable intimacy in its tone. So the lyrics, with the light coming down over your shoulder, saying, "What is that sensation? What is that sensation?" With a light coming down over your shoulders, saying, "What is that sensation? What does that sign say?" Warplane, condo, new development, time again, people coming up to be together now, and time again, I feel all right. Warplane, condo, oil freighter, new development. I feel all right. 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 Well, how's the family? How's the family? How's the family? How's the family? How's your health been? How's your health been? How's your health been? How's your health been? Fancying you here. Fancying you here. Fancying you here. Fancying you here. Time and off again. Time and off again. Time and off again. Time and off again. Beautiful weather day. Beautiful weather day. Beautiful weather day. Beautiful weather day. How's the church? How's the job? How's the church? How's the job? How's the family? How's the family? How's the family? How's the family? Fancying you here. Fancying you here. Fancying you here. Fancying you here. Time and off again. Time and off again. Time and off again. Time and off again. Beautiful weather day. Beautiful weather day. Beautiful weather day. Beautiful weather day. It's all that we have. It's all that we have. Just that and the big, beautiful sky. I'm no longer afraid to die, because that is all I have left. Yes. Yes. And I'm no longer afraid to dance tonight, because that is all I have left. Yes. Yes. Warplane, condo, new development, time again. People coming up, been together now, and time again. I feel all right. Warplane, condo, all freighter, new development. I feel all right. 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 Beautiful weather day. Beautiful weather day. Beautiful weather day. Beautiful weather day. How's the church? How's the job? How's the church? How's the job? How's the family? How's the family? How's the family? How's the family? How's your health again? How's your health again? How's your health again? How's your health again? Fancying you here, fancying you here, fancying you here, fancying you here. Time and off again, time and off again, time and off again, time and off again. Nice to meet you, nice to meet you, nice to meet you, nice to meet you. Beautiful weather day, beautiful weather day, beautiful weather day, beautiful weather day. It's all that we have. It's all that we have. Just that in the big, beautiful sky. I'm no longer afraid to die, because that is all that I have left. Yes, yes. And I'm no longer afraid to dance tonight, because that is all I have left. Yes, yes. Instrumental 1 2 3, kill it. I'll also say on the studio version that outro, that instrumental is a lot smoother and gentle, and there's almost no dissonance to it. It just feels like a meditation floating off. It's very beautiful, but this is really interesting.
Yes, yeah,
Really
beautiful versus interesting. Pick your poison, because I do like
Exactly.
this battle, between again, the dissonance representing that nihilistic viewpoint, and the beauty representing the hopeful clarity that he also has when he talks about wanting to go out and dance and relish in life.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't convey it there, but the building through the repetition, the music gets more and more sort of urgent, and then it sort of breaks, and this pressure builds and then goes again. Some interesting stuff here about it. So a couple of reviewers have put, although somewhat nihilistic, this comes off as more positive, cathartic, and uplifting. In his feigned nihilism, the singer realizes there is more to live for, while he is saying there is nothing. Hence the change from die to dance tonight. So in the words of Tim Darcy, the frontman, he said, "It feels empowering. I'm no longer afraid to die, / because that is all I have left, becomes the antidote to there's nothing else to live for. If you feel uplifted by saying that, then there is something left to live for." The song illustrates the gap between what it is humans are perceiving and the uniquely misguided ways we perceive them. The repetition of common social niceties isn't meant to be ironic. It is genuine, because that's what we really do. We really do care about each other. And what more do we have than our health, our church, our job, and the weather? All right, just the whole sky, i.e. everything. But not to us. From our static point here on Earth, the sky not only has an end, but also is blue. Brackets, colour isn't real, and is also beautiful. Subjective judgment only a human can make. But that's where the hope comes in. In the midst of modern life's dehumanization, the speaker finds comfort in their humaneness. Even if that comfort is based purely on perception, it's our perception. For now, it's our beautiful, our blue, and our sky. This song grabs the mundane and stares right at it with its whole heart. It appreciates the big, beautiful sky amidst the constructive spectacle we often perceive the modern society to be. So that's an interesting take. I pretty much agree with a lot of that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say color isn't real, but it's perceived to be real, and that's all we have. is our perception of color. Asked about the apparently meaningless small talk the song features, keyboardist Matt May says, on the one hand, these are definitely small talk expressions, but I don't view it necessarily as meaningless. To me, it's just a bit sarcastic maybe, and a bit sincere as well. I think the image juxtaposition is what interests me because I don't think it's totally straightforward. I think there are different ways to try and make sense of the banality of the statements, even when it's about gentrification or spills. The sort of dryness with which really awful, painful things that are maybe seen as too complex or less immediately / obviously fixable are discussed is interesting to me. Sarcasm and sincerity don't actually combat racialized people losing housing because of people like me move into certain neighborhoods. As just one example, but maybe at best it lets people know where you stand, if that counts for anything, and it truthfully may not. So another one's noted that the confluence of sincerity and cynicism is also a topic on Today more than any other day. One of the band's best known songs from their first record. So again, there's that theme there.
Yes.
It's just wildly interesting, isn't it? And I see the comparisons with Marky Smith and some of the statements he makes. He does these like edicts, which some of them can seem like banalities as well. And through the use of repetition in particular, you kind of focus in on it and then it becomes more interesting and meaningful. And he's doing a bit of that with these quatrains, as you say, of of these expressions. It's just a fascinating song. And it seems really simple first time and then more and more interesting and more beautiful each time you listen to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I love
and it's a great live performance as well.
Of course. Yeah, it had everything going for it and not a thing going against it in my estimation. So loved it.
I haven't got round to their third album yet, so I shall get that soon and give that a little as well and see what else is interesting to pop your way.
Cool. Look forward to it.
Right, I shall wrap things up. Thanks for listening, Sandy.
Thank you,
Folks
sir.
Folks out there, please tell us what you think. If you like this, do slap your meaty paw down on the like button and drop a comment. We'd love to hear from you what you think about this. How's your health again? Please let us know. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do. All this and more could be yours and within your grasp just by subscribing. We really appreciate everybody who does support the channel, so hop on board our particular oil freighter. That being said, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see all of you next episode of the Audiophiles.
Kill it.